Welcome to I'm an Asset podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Breanne Smith.
And I'm your other host, Zachary Wilson. Today we're doing a bit of a different episode style than we're used to. We hinted at this in our last episode, but it's going to be like an interview kind of. I'm going to be telling her and you guys about my paging experience down at the State House, which I did for 3 days. This is the third day I'm done today. So she'll just be asking me questions and I'm just going to talk about it. So before we begin, I suppose I'll just tell you what I was doing in general so you kind of know like what's happening. So the State House, Legislature, House of Representatives for our state has a paging program where they offer the position of a page to high schoolers like myself. Sometimes the children of the representatives will do it, but I fortunately got the position by a representative I knew by working for a company that he owns, or this business.
A previous job.
Mm-hmm. So it's Reed Ingram. So right. He offered me this position, and I paged for him and the whole house.
Very cool. I want to know, before you talk a little bit more about what you did, I want to know how you got the opportunity.
Okay. It's kind of a long story, but I'll go through it quickly. Okay. So I won't get into how I started working at his business, but I was there for about 2 years, and then I left to work here. Mm-hmm. And my school had a tour where we go to... They set up a tour. Our teacher knew someone and was able to get us into these really cool places in downtown Montgomery, like the archives and the Capitol and the State House.
And you did get to talk a little bit about your winter on one of our podcast episodes.
I was just going to say, we have an episode where I actually talk all about this if you're interested. I believe it's called Downtown Adventure. You should go check it out. And in that tour, we went to this house chamber, and one of the tour guide was talking to us. Not the tour guide. He's not a tour guide. He's actually the clerk of the house. Mm-hmm. But he was telling us about the place. He was really cool. He's a really smart guy, and he's nice. And he asked us to sit down because he was going to tell us about everything. And I sat in Reed Ingram's chair by total accident. I sat down in his desk because they each have their own desk with their name tags on them in the chamber of the house. And I looked at the name tag and was like, oh my gosh, what are the odds of that? So I just thought it was really cool and took a picture of it. And I went down to this business where where I expected him to be. I didn't even tell him I was going, but I just knew he'd be there because he works a lot. He's a very hardworking guy. And sure enough, he was there. And I showed it to him. He thought it was cool too. And we just got to talking. And he said, well, how would you like to page for me when we go into session? And I said, that sounds really cool. I would love to do that. So I spoke with someone who set everything up and scheduled me for some dates. And I went there for 3 days. Now, I really wish I could do more, but I have to miss school to do this because the sessions are in the middle of the week and during the hours that I would normally be at school. So I've already missed 3 days of school now. I can't keep doing it. But
yes.
Anyway, that's how I got it. So
that's awesome. And you had a little bit of preparation that you had to do for this position, as far as you had to get a bunch of approval from teachers just to be at a class. But then we also had to update your wardrobe a little bit.
Yes.
You
may have noticed.
Point out, you look amazing today.
Thank you.
Very studious.
So I wore we got some. I don't know if you've ever seen, I'm going to say it because it's very popular and I'm sure you've probably seen it. Steve Harvey has this, he's the host of Family Feud, if you don't recognize the name. Mm-hmm. He has this video, or there's this bit of him talking about getting this color pants and this color suit, this color suit, this color suit. And, talks about how they all go with each other. And that's kind of what we did. Mm-hmm. I already had a suit, and then we got another suit.
You already had a blue one.
I already had a blue one.
A gray one.
Then we got me a gray one. And then we got this blazer.
You got that for Christmas.
I have like 2 colored suits and a blazer. pattern blazer.
And that
And you
goes
can
with
just
both. Yeah.
combine them with everything and make so many different outfits off of that. So I basically I had to drag out 2 suits for 3 days, but you can like match them together.
Yeah. So this is what I
yeah.
want to know about your wardrobe, because you did talk to me. You mentioned it a little bit about how people treated you by the way you dress.
Yes.
So speak to that. Like, how did you feel professional? How did what you were wearing make you feel, and how did people respond to you?
I'd say you meet a lot of people here, and there's not a lot to they don't know anything about you. So when you're first meeting them, you'll see their name, their expression, but you won't really know anything else about them unless you talk to them. But what they do see about you, what you can see about them, is their appearance. And especially in this kind of environment, in a state legislature environment, everybody's very properly dressed. So it's kind of like the suit is the bare minimum. Or like what you're wearing. I saw like a lot of people wearing this kind of fit. So that's like the bare minimum, is to look super nice. I don't know. I think I did a really good job, because it might just be because I'm younger and they maybe expected someone who's younger to not look as nice. Maybe that's what it was. Or maybe I just do really look nice, but people that really went a long way with first impressions. I could tell people's face lit up when they first saw me, and they were like, wow, you look sharp.
So thinking about that then, what if, and I'm going somewhere with this question, what if we had not prepared what you were going to wear, and you wore maybe more casual clothes than what you did wear? How do you think you would have felt amongst the group that was more elevatedly dressed than you?
What I would have worn.
Would have it impacted you at all to be dressed down more than you were?
I would have worn a suit if I could. I'll say this. I was worried people would look down on me because I'm like younger and I don't know much. I'm just a page, right? I'm just like, there's kind of like, I say like an intern. I think they call it a page because that refers to the most standard task being a messenger. You're kind of sending messages and getting coffee and stuff like that. I'm afraid, they'd look down on me, but when they see how you behave, but they see how you dress, that can go a long way. Because it's not my job to talk to these people and show them how smart I am. I'm not going to take up their time by doing that. They have important stuff to do, but they can see what I look like. Where am I going with this?
Let me ask it this way. Did dressing up give you any kind of confidence?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's something I could control. What I was trying to say was I'm not saying I'm I don't even know where to go with this.
I think that what you wear and feeling good in what you wear, and it doesn't have to be professional dress. It could be, dressing just for an occasion that's appropriate to the occasion. It does give you an elevated confidence when you feel good in what you've got on and when you're dressed the part. And I think even if you are, you're not a politician, but you are amongst many representatives and politicians and people who have great responsibility, then you look the part. It helps you be the part too, in my opinion. When you really think about what you're going to wear, that matters. Yes,
I was worried that they wouldn't. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I know how I felt, but I'm trying to put it into words. When I put everything on and I asked you, is this match, and do I need to fix anything? And you said, you look good. And you're very encouraging, and thank you for telling me I look good. Sometimes I need that affirmation to help my confidence. And when I had that confidence, I could walk in there and know that they couldn't they couldn't judge me on my appearance.
Yeah.
So,
Because you had that one checked off. That
Yeah.
was good. Yeah.
so I didn't have to worry about how I looked. I only had to worry about how I behaved at that point.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
say that.
good. I like that.
Um,
So now that we've
Yeah.
talked about how you prepared, what kind of things did you do? What does a page do?
so typically, like I said, this is before my time, so I'm not gonna pretend like I'm an expert. But page devices were these page devices. They're pagers. These little things. They're about this big. You could clip them on to your belt or whatever. And you want to hear how I explain this?
Yeah,
You would send codes because you couldn't like text out entire sentences.
because there were no cell phones.
So people would often communicate via abbreviations that were settled on beforehand.
Before text messaging.
And you would know like a certain combination of letters was like meant something. And they were used in hospitals. I know that. And they make a little noise when you receive your page, your message. We didn't have those. We were actually told, of course, you don't want to be in the back of the chamber on your phone. Like, if you're here, you want to look around, you want to see what's happening, you want to learn. But they discouraged phone usage anyway. And we didn't actually have page devices. What we did was there's a little screen in front of the area where we sat that had a diagram of all the seats of the part of the chamber we're responsible for and the names of the representative that sat at each of those seats. And they have a button on their desk that they can press. And when they press it, it lights up their chair on our screen. And it's like a map so we can see where they are in the room. And we'll walk over to their desk. And we'll say, do you need anything? Or like, what do you need? Because they hit the button because they need something. And those tasks would typically run from sending a message to a representative who's across the chamber. Because you might not be able to text or call that representative when you're in session. That's something informal to do, to call. And if you're texting somebody, they might be so taken up with it's so busy and loud in there, they might not get your message. I actually saw some people had their phone on the setting where the light flashes when you get a notification instead of it buzzing. And that's not a notification I have on my phone or a setting I have on my phone. I don't have it set that way, but I could tell why they would have it set in there because it's so loud in there. You can't hear or feel anything going off. But you could have a page. You could also page somebody to go send someone else a message. So corresponding with other people, we could get them if they needed food or drinks. They're busy voting and introducing bills. So they don't have time to go and get a coffee or a drink. They have to be paying attention to what's happening in the chamber. So we do that for them. And we can get, like, it could be anything. This morning, someone had me get their phone because they accidentally left their phone in their office. Those kinds of things happen, but you don't want an elected representative to miss bills because they left their phone in their office that they need to like look up bills and stuff. So
Yeah.
we're kind of like there to do all the little things to help the process go more smoothly.
Yeah. So paging is an administrative help during being in session. And then did you receive any kind of training before you did this?
Not much. We had an orientation session, which the person in charge of it was very good at explaining and helpful with answering our questions and very efficient with describing the process. And she took us to all the rooms, showed us where places we would be commonly sent were and what they were called and the room number. And she actually gave us a sheet with those room numbers and those places. If someone said go to this room or this room to get this, we would have a map kind of.
Good. Okay.
And she told us kind of the procedure for how things go in the chamber, you know. So we knew where to sit, we knew what to do, you know, when that button thing lights up. You know, she told us kind of how all that works.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I was trained a little bit.
Yeah. Did you have a badge or have to go through any kind of security?
I did have a badge. And they said, wear your badge, because if security doesn't know you, they will stop you. Now, you know, by the third day, they might start recognizing you. But still, it's important. And it's also not just for security, but I think it's nice to have your name tag on your chest, because people don't always remember your name. You meet so many people every day in there. So.
That's cool. And how many pages were there?
There were 4 this week, including myself. Last week, the week before us, there was 9. And next week there will be 1. So
Yeah.
it can range how many people are available for that date.
Yeah. Cool. I'm curious to know, like, was there any events or gatherings outside of being in session that you got to participate in?
Absolutely. So people are big on networking, but they're also efficient in tying that networking in with like lunch and luncheons, or people will have these dinner parties after every day. There was these
dinner parties
held by companies that were trying to have a say on some kind of bill, or like the first day there was the sheriffs had like a barbecue cookout. It was awesome.
Awesome.
I got to go to that. So yeah, they different organizations put together these dinner parties, and typically, you know, the whole chamber will filter between all of them.
Yeah. Cool. So, did you learn anything?
And I learned a lot from the whole thing. In which regard?
Just what's a big takeaway from this experience that you learned?
I'm going to say a few things here. I'll say from paging itself, I liked it was kind of a fast-paced environment, which I like. And I got to see how the legislative process of our state I got to see kind of a behind the scenes on a lot of that. I mean, all this information's online. You can see how a bill goes through the system, but to actually be there and see the debates and see the amendments and how they introduce things and the voting, I got to see them all vote on stuff. It was pretty cool. And if I ever considered going into this kind of field one day, it would be invaluable information. That would be very insightful and helpful. It was like you have to have connections, because I mean the whole way I got this position in the first place was about who I knew, and it's very much that way. You can, I mean, I'm not gonna say like it's impossible if you know nobody. You just have to work hard and give 110%, and people will notice that. And then, you know, when they notice you, you'll talk to them and you'll meet them, and then they'll introduce you to other people and you'll meet them, and it kind of just grows. Yeah. That's how it was for me, at least.
And one thing that kind of a takeaway as far as who you know is something that you did that was valuable here was you stayed in touch. So you had a great connection. He was a great boss. You guys had a great relationship, and you had something you wanted to show him or tell him, and you did. You went back and you said, hey, and you updated him. And I think that's a really great thing to do with people that from your past that you're connected to. If something comes up that reminds you of them, reach out and update them, ask them how they're doing. You know, keep up with each other as you grow in your careers. If it's somebody that's your age that you met in high school, and, you know, eventually that'll be, you know, somebody in a different field, your age, same cohort in the business world in the future that might be a referral partner or client or somebody that will help you. But then there's also technology that helps us keep up with each other, which I love LinkedIn for this. LinkedIn is like the professional Facebook or Instagram that helps you make connections in the business world. So you could, in fact, I think if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I don't think you do. We should talk about LinkedIn at some time in the future, a little bit more in depth about having a profile on LinkedIn. It's like an online resume, essentially, where people can keep up with your career. I love to see students that, were my students 10 years ago, pass the CPA exam, make manager, have kids, get married. Those things are great to keep up with people in their careers and lives that were once a connection that you met.
I like that. That is I like that there's an interface for that.
So we need to get you a LinkedIn profile.
We do.
Anything else you want to add to your experience?
Let's see. I did meet the governor.
Very cool.
Meet might be a bit of a stretch. I shook her hand. I'm sure with how busy she is, you don't have time to talk to a random high schooler on any given day. But I shook her hand. I took a photo with her.
Oh, very good.
And I got a little pin.
Yeah. Very official.
So yeah, I could say I did that.
You did. It sounds like a great experience, and I'm glad you did it. And I'm love to see where it leads us.
We'll just have to see. And now she can tell people she met me.
Yes.
Anyway,
He's got this podcast.
Yeah, that was like the most famous person.
We ought to send Reed and KIV t-shirts or hats or something, coffee mugs.
I was gonna send Reed a thank you letter.
Yes,
because I said like I shook his hand. I said thank you, and like I was trying to be I was trying to show like truly how appreciative I was.
Sincerity, yeah.
But I think sometimes it's hard in the moment to describe in words what you're how grateful you are.
Yeah.
As y'all can see, I'm fumbling with my words now. So I think to sit down and write something that does a better job.
I love how you indicated you were going to type it. Versus,
well, yeah. Well,
but Zachary, I'm glad you brought this up, because when somebody gives you an opportunity, it is priceless to send a handwritten note, a thank you, and he will appreciate that so much. And so I think you absolutely should do that.
I'll get out the ink and quill.
Yes. Send a thank you note. It's a good advice. Well, wonderful. I'm glad you had a good experience. Thank you for sharing. And I hadn't heard any of this yet, so that was fun to unravel live. And thank you for participating, being here. And I do think we should send some merch to him. That'd be great.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us and for listening to this awesome experience. If I know I like to think that the viewers are in a place I'm in. So if you're a high schooler and you're hearing all this, I'm not saying like you should go be a page, but if there is one thing you can take away from this, it's about who you know, and who you might already have some people but if you don't, just like I said, just give 110%. This is what Reed told me, was leave an imprint and always do the best you can do, because people are going to look back on that and they're going to see how deep that imprint was. And if you do it the right way, they'll notice you. And don't tell people, show them, right?
That's good advice. I think one other thing that you can take away from this that kind of I've witnessed is that you said yes to an opportunity that was kind of uncertain and new and different, and not really necessarily something you want to do for a living, but it was just a new experience that you said yes to, and you're like, hey, that would be a neat opportunity, and who might I meet or what might happen from that. And so I think it's good to say not yes to everything, but yes to new experiences occasionally.
That's a good point. because I actually say when I was at this doing this tour where I was visiting all these places, and I was at the State House, I was in the chambers for the tour. I met this person who is one of our stops for the day, and she talked about this paging program, and I didn't brush it off, but I was like, I already have a job. I don't see myself working here. So I don't think I'll do it, but that sounds cool, you know? And then, so I guess you could say I said no. She didn't like ask us, do you want to pay? She just was letting us. I didn't like say no to her, but anyway. But then when Reed asked me, I was like, you know, part of the reason I said no is because I didn't want to, I was afraid of like what, I didn't know, you know, what to do or how to even start. But when he said, I was like, you know what, it's fine. I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
And I think it was, I don't know, hearing it from him just made me think, you know,
if he thought you could
if he thought I could do it, he knows what I'm capable of, then I could do it. So
yeah, very good.
Just having that confidence is another thing.
Yeah, very good. Well, I'm glad you did it. Thanks for sharing. And
thanks for listening.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.